The painful truth behind Black women's entrepreneurial boom. Why starting isn't enough. Thank you all for being here today. I'm truly honored to stand before you to share some profound insights I gained from my recent interview with Shauna Hill, a visionary force whose work has fundamentally transformed how we understand success in business for Black women entrepreneurs. Shauna isn't just a researcher or advocate, she's a revolutionary who has courageously pulled back the curtain on the hidden machinery that continues to obstruct Black women's path to sustainable prosperity. Her unflinching commitment to truth has created seismic shifts in economic policy conversations across America, opening doors for thousands of women whose brilliance might otherwise have remained in the shadows. What Shauna has accomplished goes beyond mere advocacy. She has reimagined the very architecture of entrepreneurial success. What I'm about to share with you today might challenge everything you think you know about entrepreneurship in America. It might make you uncomfortable. It should make you uncomfortable because sometimes discomfort is the price of truth and the catalyst for transformation. Let's begin with a statistic that stopped me in my tracks during my conversation with Shauna. Black women are among the fastest growing groups of entrepreneurs in the United States. Their businesses account for nearly 21% of all female owned companies. That sounds like a success story, doesn't it? A triumph of initiative, determination, and grit. But here's where the story takes a devastating turn. Only 15% of these businesses report making a profit. Let that sink in for a moment. Dot comma, 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 only 15%. We celebrate the surge in business creation among Black women. We applaud their courage and initiative. We point to these numbers as evidence of progress. But we rarely talk about what happens after these businesses open their doors. We rarely discuss the systemic barriers that make it so much harder for these entrepreneurs to translate their vision into sustainable success. This stark contrast between growth and profitability highlights a profound truth. Access to entrepreneurship does not automatically translate into equitable success. The ability to start a business is not the same as having the resources to make that business thrive. And this gap, this chasm between starting and succeeding, represents one of the most insidious forms of economic injustice in our society today. During my interview with Shauna Hill, she emphasized three key insights that I believe can transform how we think about entrepreneurship among Black women. First, the entrepreneurial boom among Black women is both inspiring and complex. The rapid growth rates we see do not guarantee financial stability. Many of these business owners still face significant funding gaps and resource limitations that their white counterparts simply don't encounter. The brutal reality is that Black women receive less than 1% of venture capital funding, not 10%, not 5%, less than 1%. How can we expect equitable outcomes with such dramatically inequitable inputs? Second, addressing these disparities requires more than encouragement and motivational speeches. It demands targeted strategies such as improved financial inclusion, mentorship programs, and digitalization support tailored specifically for Black women entrepreneurs. Inspiration without infrastructure is just another form of gaslighting, telling people they can fly while clipping their wings. And third, perhaps most powerfully, when we empower Black women in business, there's a multiplier effect. Not only do their ventures thrive, but they also tend to employ more women overall. fueling broader economic participation within our communities. Black women entrepreneurs are not just building businesses, they're building ecosystems of opportunity. Let me share with you the story of Amira Rasool, founder of The Folklore, a commerce platform supporting small brands, especially Black owned ones, by helping them create digital storefronts. Amira's journey began when she was traveling through Africa as a journalist covering fashion stories. She witnessed firsthand how talented designers struggled without digital resources. These creators had extraordinary products but lacked the infrastructure to connect with global markets. Their invisibility wasn't due to a lack of talent or ambition, it was due to a lack of access. So Amira built an online marketplace focused on storytelling and curation while providing back end tools for seamless sales. Today, her company has become a go to solution for emerging designers seeking global reach. She's secured partnerships with major retailers, been featured by leading publications, and empowered dozens of brands across continents. The Folklore's model has elevated underrepresented voices in global retail, helping reshape perceptions about African creativity. But Amira's success didn't come easily. She faced the same hurdles that countless Black women entrepreneurs encounter: limited access to capital, skepticism from potential investors, and the challenge of breaking into established networks. What makes her story remarkable isn't just that she overcame these obstacles, it's that she created a solution that helps others overcome them too. She didn't just climb the ladder, she built a new one and extended it to others. But individual success stories, inspiring as they are, shouldn't distract us from the broader patterns. Let's look at the statistics more closely. Black and African American owned companies make up almost 21% of all female owned businesses in the US, yet just 15% report profitability. This gap underscores structural inequities that persist despite decades of progress in other areas. The challenges are numerous and interconnected. Access to startup capital remains a significant barrier, with Black women receiving an average of $42,000 in startup capital compared to $445,000 for white men. Mentorship networks that many take for granted are often closed to Black women entrepreneurs. Industry representation gaps mean fewer role models and advocates. And time poverty due to disproportionate caregiving responsibilities creates additional burdens. Many founders start out bootstrapping or relying on personal savings because traditional lenders overlook them due to bias or lack of collateral or credit history. Despite these odds, thousands have launched sustainable businesses, often reinvesting profits into community development initiatives. These efforts create jobs locally while challenging stereotypes about who can succeed in business. But individual determination, however admirable, cannot fully compensate for systemic disadvantages. As Shauna Hill emphasized in our interview, we need comprehensive solutions that address the root causes of these disparities. This isn't just an American phenomenon. In Latin America, 49% of women run their own businesses, but face severe barriers accessing loans. Less than 5% receive financing aimed at growing their ventures. They struggle with time poverty from care duties, exclusion from formal banking services, and overrepresentation in lower profit sectors like domestic work and food production. In response, regional agencies have introduced gender focused lending products alongside training programs teaching digital skills essential for modern business operations. Pilot projects increased bank account ownership among participants and helped hundreds expand beyond local markets via e commerce adoption. These initiatives demonstrate that comprehensive approaches, combining finance reform with practical skill building, can unlock new levels of prosperity when tailored specifically for marginalized groups. What's particularly striking about these examples is how they challenge our conventional understanding of entrepreneurship. We often frame business creation as a purely individual endeavor, a matter of personal vision, risk taking, and hard work. But this framing obscures the social and structural factors that shape entrepreneurial outcomes. The truth is that entrepreneurship doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens within economic and social systems that can either nurture or hinder success. And for Black women entrepreneurs, these systems have historically been more hindrance than help. This brings me to a deeper question. What do we really mean by success in entrepreneurship? Is success merely the ability to start a business? Or should we define success as the ability to build a sustainable, profitable enterprise that creates value for its owner and community? If we accept the latter definition, and I believe we should, then we must acknowledge that our current entrepreneurial ecosystem is failing Black women entrepreneurs. The gap between business creation and profitability tells us that something is fundamentally broken in how we support these business owners. But here's the good news: broken systems can be fixed, inequitable structures can be reformed. And the first step toward change is acknowledging the problem. Advocacy organizations have pushed for better loan products targeting minority founders. Some cities have piloted accelerator programs exclusively serving women of color entrepreneurs. These efforts are important, but they're just the beginning. What would happen if every aspiring entrepreneur had equal access, not just to opportunities, but also to sustained support systems? What if we redesigned our financial institutions, our mentorship networks, our business education programs to be truly inclusive? What kind of economic renaissance might we witness? These aren't just rhetorical questions, they're invitations to reimagine what entrepreneurship could look like in a more equitable world. As Shauna Hill reminded me during our conversation, when we empower Black women entrepreneurs, we're not just helping individual business owners, we're strengthening entire communities. We're creating more diverse and resilient economies. We're challenging outdated notions of who belongs in the business world. So I stand before you today with a challenge, a call to disrupt the status quo. We must stop celebrating entrepreneurship without examining its outcomes. We must stop pretending that access alone equals equity. We must demand more than symbolic victories. For those of you with capital to invest, how are you ensuring it reaches Black women founders? For those in positions of institutional power, what concrete policies are you implementing to level the playing field? For everyone in this room, how will you use your sphere of influence to transform admiration into action? The time for polite conversations about diversity and inclusion is over. The time for revolutionary change is now. Because when we truly empower Black women entrepreneurs, not just to start businesses, but to build thriving, profitable enterprises, we don't just change individual lives, we transform our entire economy. We rewrite the rules of who gets to succeed and why. I believe we stand at the precipice of a new economic paradigm, one where the brilliance and innovation of Black women is not just acknowledged, but fully resourced and rewarded. The question is not whether this future is possible. The question is whether we have the courage to create it. Thank you